Like a bunch of nothing.
In your own like demiurge prison.
Yeah. No, so I don't know.
Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to another episode of Mystic and the Machine. Sorry we're slightly late. We got distracted because we were watching otter videos.
It's very cute.
Really,
this
really
Japanese
cute.
guy owns two otters in his flat, and it's super adorable.
Should we just show them a little bit of it?
No, I've closed the video now.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh man, but I highly recommend otter videos if you want to lighten your soul
Exactly.
and make yourself happy. Well, yeah, before we dive into the meat of the episode, quick announcement. I have a new video out on my channel, Depth Diaries.
Woo.
So go check it out. It's on Jung and the problem of evil. And yeah, it has a lot to do with many of the things we have discussed here on Depth Diaries and like in the Discord. So go check it out. And then I'll also leave a link in the description once this is over. So yeah, we thought we would do a more techno-centric episode and talk a bit more about like stuff that's like new, coming off the back of last week's conversation where we were sort of talking about cyberpunk revolution, open source technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll start with things that are new, and then we'll get into like open source new technologies.
Sounds good.
Does that
Sounds
sound good? Okay. So first to start with is this new robot that's like on the market. Looks quite scary. Hang on 2 seconds.
OBS has done that thing again.
Oh fuck.
There we go.
There we go. All right. Okay. Do you want to explain what this robot is?
This is like another company that sort of like doesn't get talked about as much as Boston Dynamics and Tesla and kind of some of those more well-known ones.
Is there a reason for that?
I'm not really sure, but like the robot looks pretty impressive and it's pretty cheap. And
How cheap is cheap though?
$16,000.
Is that cheaper than Boston Dynamics or a Tesla robot?
It's cheaper than a person's salary.
Do you think this is going to be like, is it marketed
And it
for
will
people to
last,
buy, or is it marketed for
I think
like,
it's marketed for industry and for like businesses and
Okay.
stuff like that. But yeah, this is the little demonstration.
Let's have a little look-see. Why is it doing like Fortnite dance moves?
Good question.
Can it teach me yoga? That's like the $1 million question. It can do stairs. That's pretty impressive. Can it lift boxes?
I would assume it can do something like that. It just sort of scoots about.
And does Fortnite dances, so it's pretty fucking useless.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's pushing it. And kicking it, oh my god. In the other video you showed me, it was like spreading its legs and like doing all kinds of weird shit.
Oh, it's like, yeah, like folding itself up. Because I think there's been some sort of like new breakthrough in wiring for robots and stuff, which is why you've seen a lot of like new stuff with robots in the last couple of years, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think the plan is to make that. Yeah, there you go in that top left one. It says $16,000.
Wow. So is it supposed to just be more accessible for like regular businesses, or are they expecting it to like come onto the market so regular people can like buy it?
Well, I think that would depend on its capability to understand and perform actions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like the portion of the AI bit that everyone's racing to get towards. And I think we showed a clip of another video where there's a robot stood at a counter and the guy says, "Pass me something to eat." And on the counter there's like a knife and an apple. And so he passes him the apple because the robot's able to cognitively understand that he can't eat the knife and he can eat the apple. So it depends on like how complicated it gets, isn't it? If you're like, Robot Jeeves, make me potato salad. Could he make potato salad?
What if you're like, Robot Jeeves?
There's no reason he couldn't make potato salad almost like exactly like Gordon Ramsay.
I would buy
Because,
that for 16K. I would fucking save the 16K
if
to
he
buy
can,
that
if he can
it had that
ingest
feature.
all of the information like on the internet and watch all of the Gordon Ramsay videos, then he should be able to cook food like that, right?
I would be more interested in like having it like do heavy duty tasks around the house that you refuse to do.
I refuse to do what around the house?
You refuse to put together IKEA furniture.
I don't refuse to do those things.
You refuse to like, you haven't like built me anything. You've not built me a shelf.
Because we live in rented accommodation, my love.
It doesn't matter. You could still build me something. You've not built me anything. You complain every time I ask you to take out the trash. So I just have it do all of that stuff. I would have it teach me yoga as well.
Teach you yoga?
I think it would be a really good yoga instructor.
Because it could do the poses.
Yeah, because it can like bend around. Yeah. And then I would take my frustration out on it
and box it.
Yeah. I'd beat it up.
Well, I guess I don't know. So that I think it all does really depend on those kinds of things, because in like Amazon warehouses and stuff like that, I think they use some amount of robots at the moment as it is.
Do the people that work there like work alongside robots that like lift stuff with them and stuff?
So they don't lift stuff, but they're essentially like Roombas.
Like Roombas?
Yeah.
And what do they do?
The Roombas like somehow through a conveyor belt, or it's stacked on top of the Roomba at the beginning. All of this pallet of stuff, and then the Roomba follows a line on the floor, and then it parks it somewhere else where it's supposed to be.
Wow.
By following the lines on the floor.
Wow.
But this would obviously potentially have like a lot more freedom to essentially just completely replace a human being. And God knows then what else beyond as well, right?
Yeah.
Because like this is just like at the beginning of it when they're like, oh, they're as strong as human beings. But
it's quite bendy and like agile. It can do stairs, you know.
What if you can do stairs? I mean, you're not a...
Well, I mean, it can do stairs.
It did like the most mild stair possible. Like, wow, super impressive. Look at it tackle those stairs.
It could be like, used to help the elderly. There are lots of like, ethical uses of this sort of technology. And I mean, the next part we're going to get to is open source.
Well, in Singapore, they're using robots everywhere, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you show me some of evidence of that?
Yeah, okay.
What are they using them for?
As like security guards at the airport, and as like little hotel room servant providers.
I saw this really...
Room servant?
I saw the really... Like, obviously, robots haven't necessarily been rolled out publicly yet. It's not as ubiquitous as AI is becoming. But like at the same time, there've been a few instances in the last few years. I remember during COVID, there was that really dystopian one where there were these robots in the street yelling at people to like go back in their houses.
Police are...
And then I guess Singapore's full of robots now.
So like this is just them talking about deploying robot police.
Oh my gosh.
But they've got all sorts of robots in Singapore. Like I was saying, that like robot waiters, little like...
But who's going to be scared of that? It doesn't even look like... Even a fucking Dalek looks more intimidating than that, dude.
I know, but I think it's kind of...
Are you
going
to respect the authority of that?
I think it's the kind of cyberpunk future where it has communication and optical abilities.
And then like a taser.
So if it catches you doing illegal things, that'll be in the system, and then people will come and find you. But that robot's seen you, and that robot's the one that's like busted you. Right? Right? And like, if you've seen that robot, it's already too late, and you're already on the list. Do you know what I mean? So
that's quite frightening, yeah. I mean, but it still looks so corny. It looks like something out of the 60s.
It's
like,
hardly RoboCop, is it? It's sort of...
It looks so silly.
It's hardly RoboCop.
I would be more frightened of the other one that we showed. But yeah, like I said, there are ethical uses of this, robot technology rescuing people from dangerous situations, helping elderly people.
Mm-hmm.
And like, since we're moving on to open source technology, one of the cool things that it would be really cool if open source technology for robotics existed and it wasn't only controlled by like these massive corporations that are going to use it for things like, control and
like just
profit,
putting everybody out of jobs, and creating like a poverty trap.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Never say never, because some of the projects that I'm about to show you with like open source technologies today are things that I would never expect you to be able to do without a massive some kind of industry being able to support it, right? Mm-hmm. And so the first one that I want to show you is, hang on. Bush.
That was an old man noise you just made.
Execution provider.
Oh wait.
Move over, Flipper.
Oh no, you made me get rid of my tabs and it's messed it all up.
I didn't make you get rid of anything.
Oh no. Okay, well I'll explain it instead.
No, just show it. Just type it in. It'll take 2 seconds. Let me look at the chat while you do that.
Okay.
Hang on. Greg is here. Hello, Greg. Good evening. Hello, J. George. Greg says, I mean, it's good. It's good at bouncing. Yeah, it's pretty decent at bouncing. But can
the robot?
Yeah, the robot.
Well,
but
no,
can it break dance at the Olympics? Oh my god! Of course. Oh my god, that woman. Ugh. She's famous now, which is like it just shows how much of an idiocracy we live in. Sorry, I don't want to go on a tangent about that, but like, she is famous now. She's more famous than any of the actual good breakdancers that were there.
The best, the meme I've seen of it so far is, have you ever danced so bad you got criminally investigated?
Did she get criminally investigated?
Yeah, that's why everyone like fucking dug up the shit about her, like,
oh my god,
putting herself in the breakdancing team and stuff.
Oh mate,
or even like being partially responsible for breakdancing, even being in the Olympics at all.
We should just have the robots do it.
I mean, it would be fun. I mean, that would be like a fun, like new version of the Olympics.
I
You
agree.
do like humans versus robots.
I agree.
Or like just the robot Olympics, just the straight robot Olympics. Like every country trying to make the best robot possible that can do all this crazy shit.
That would be so cool. Oh my god, I would watch the fuck out of that. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. You've just like, yes.
That'd be fun.
Oh my god. Okay, so anyway, someone says listening while I make dinner, very traditional. Okay.
What's traditional?
What's traditional? Well, anyway, yeah.
The robots.
The robots. Okay.
Traditional robots.
Go on.
So the first one, I've just realised that our mugs are covering up the YouTube title, but it's okay. I'll explain it. So one of the first bits of the first bits of open source technology I wanted to show you guys that's being developed is a cinema camera, which to me is like something that I would regard as too technical to be open source because of the sorts of very complex components involved with being able to make it, and the software and everything else. There's so much involved with that. But there is a whole group of thousands of people that have all gathered on the internet to essentially create a open source cinema camera which you could assemble with parts off the shelf. And this guy's gonna talk a little bit about it. This is pretty cool.
What if I told you you could build your own video camera that can record in 2K 12-bit RAW? Video cameras. Open source. What happens if you combine these two? You get Cinepie. Cinepie. That's an awesome name, Cinepie. Today I'm talking about one of the most interesting open source projects I've come across in a long time. Cinepie is an open source project utilizing the Raspberry Pi and compatible sensors, which allow you to create a cinema camera from essentially off-the-shelf hardware. For those unfamiliar with what a cinema camera is, a cinema camera, unlike a standard video camera, is a camera designed to better fit the specific needs of a production. Well, not only are they known for their high visual quality, they're also known for their high level of customizability. Some examples being companies like Ari or Red, who provide simply a camera body with a CPU and a sensor and not much else. Anything else you would have to provide yourself, or buy from them, generally a lot of the time being usually proprietary. Because of this, you might even end up locked in a ecosystem you didn't intend to be a part of. The purpose of this project is actually to bridge the gap from firmware hacks like Magic Lantern for Canon DSLRs and the technical nature of the Axiom apparatus project. For those who aren't aware, Magic Lantern is actually a hack/reverse engineering project used to expand functionality of Canon DSLR.
That's so fucking cool.
Yeah, so
that's
there we go.
so fucking cool.
So
that is fucking awesome.
So that's pretty nuts, right? Like you
fucking
studied
cyberpunk.
You studied film and stuff. You understand like the complex nature of like film cameras, digital film cameras and stuff. And I think that's incredible that a bunch of people have sort of taken that on as something that you can try to do to essentially break out of the sort of, again, technical ecosystems that are being built around you in different ways. And like that was exactly what we were talking about in Edward Snowden's speech and stuff. I'm trying to highlight in his speech last week. And it's not just true with social media or anything else, but even down to, you want to make a movie, you want to do something creative, well actually you could end up getting boxed into Adobe's fucking suite, or Red's fucking filming equipment, just because that was the first bit you got, or however it came to be, right?
Cyberpunk revolution.
And
fucking punk revolution.
The sentiment that we're not gonna take it and just gonna like build our own shit and fucking like, we've got all of this technology now at our fingertips, and all we have to do is like spend time to learn it and put it together
and be
ourselves.
Actually engaged and mindful with things rather than just subscribing to life.
I think it's great, and this young man's energy is fantastic. Like
wonderful.
he's got.
You sound like a dad. It's adorable. Oh my god, my ovaries are twitching.
Oh my goodness, I'm just saying it's great. Like he's this young kid. Like this is quite a super niche nerdy thing, and he's talking about it with such enthusiasm, and it's great to see that energy like out there. I think it's just awesome.
It is. It's like such a refreshing contrast to the despair and complainy shit that that's everywhere.
The other one that I wanted to show you that's an incredible bit of open source technology which has just been released is
what the fuck is that? It looks like a Tamagotchi.
Well, we talked about this before. This is the Flipper Zero, but I'll let this guy introduce it.
For Zero, because there's a new tech darling in town. It's called Meshtastic, and it promises to bring us an off-grid, decentralized comms network that's entirely open source and outside the control of Big Brother. Best of all, it runs for free on tiny, affordable, and low-powered radios sporting ESP32 microcontrollers. But besides looking really cool and getting me to empty my wallet, what can these things actually do? Well, think text-based walkie-talkies, enabling you to send encrypted messages over long-range radio, aka LoRa. This novel application shields your transmissions from potential wiretapping by big telecommunication companies, ensuring your messages remain confidential.
We should be
and
making
most importantly,
fucking James Bond gadgets. This is the thing that we should be fucking doing.
So that Flipper Zero thing,
oh
right?
My god, yes.
We talked about it before. Was like a hacking education tool that people were learning about RFID signals and how to copy key cards and potentially do a lot of crimes and stuff like that. This is like not really as crime based, but it's still one of those pieces of technology where you'd think like, long range communication outside of like ham radio or something kind of old school.
Could you communicate with someone abroad with it?
Not abroad, because it's about, I think its range is something like 10 kilometers or something like that.
That's still pretty
which is
useful.
fucking really far. Like you could, that's the town over in the UK most of the time,
if you
right?
were at work, if you were at your office, and
if me and you had one of those, we would almost never need a phone. Right? Because we never leave each other.
Yeah, we're always together.
And it will be and you can just message each other for free.
We should get them. It would be so cute. But no, could you design something like that for longer range communication? Or would it be more complicated?
That's interesting, isn't it? Like, how far could you push this sort of technology? Is it just a case of like battery and power and bigger components, or like would it then require a bounce back with a satellite and stuff like that? And I think I even actually did see an article or a fucking a video about someone trying to make an open source satellite, which was just like them launching their own satellite, paying, like, raising money from a bunch of people basically to launch a satellite into space, which could be used for, like, various, like, things like
That's
this.
fucking awesome. That's so cool. I would fucking
Cool.
I would subscribe to that any day of the week.
But so I'm not entirely sure on a long range communication if you'd need satellite or not. I think you possibly might. But yeah,
We should have our own satellite.
I think
guys,
even
blackjack and hookers.
I think the point is, like, a lot of people maybe are also having this feeling of like, oh, society is like collapsing.
We
like,
should.
how can I still film things and how can I still, like, talk to people and, like, do all this stuff
without
like
taking on the mark of the beast, basically, and being, like, absorbed in this, like, massive system of surveillance and control.
yeah.
And I honestly do think that open source technology is kind of a ray of hope in that sense, big time. And I also urge our listeners, I think we have one more to show you, but before we show you that, I urge our listeners, please do send us interesting things when it comes to open source technology. If you run across anything online that you think might be compelling or interesting, we would love to talk about it on the show.
The last bit of open source technology has already been used to commit some crimes.
Ooh,
Um,
very cyberpunk.
but it is very cyberpunk, actually. And I'm not going to play the audio on this one. I'll just kind of play the video and then talk over it. But basically, this is a program that you can get on GitHub that's open source that people can contribute to and manipulate and change themselves afterwards and all sorts of stuff if you've got that kind of knowledge and know-how. And it's a live webcam face swap.
Wow.
And so in the example that you're going to see this guy do, it's going to look fairly slow and sluggish, but that's because he's sending in, like, a 4K camera signal into the software. If you were to use this on your, like, laptop webcam, for example, it's going to give you a much lower resolution.
Yeah.
It's going to manipulate the video in a much kind of more clean and responsive way. And this has been used already in China to steal $20 million off some, like, Hong Kong businessman because he got set up with a meeting with this guy, and then this guy, like, you know, took someone's picture off of LinkedIn because all you need is one picture, and had this meeting with this guy, convinced him to send this money to this fucking account for some investment or whatever. Bing bang bong, done.
Fucking robbed, dude.
Easy game.
Is he going to show us what it can do? Is he trying to make his face Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Is it going to, like, work? Because he's not, like, white.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
It's done a pretty good job.
It's that is terrifying.
It's done a pretty good job.
That's
and then
demonic.
but then obviously the closer that you are to like, you know, at least racially or facial hair or whatever it would be.
Can we make
like,
me
it's
Beyonce?
We can definitely try.
Can we try?
Like, we
Can
can't
we
try.
do it?
The thing is, yeah, is that the thing is, open source technology is great, but it's also, like, it can be manipulated and, like, loaded with viruses and sorts of things.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's
the darker aspect of. I get excited about James Bond gadgets and cyberpunk revolution, but there is a very dark side and seedy underbelly to.
But that's the
way
nature.
that this stuff could be used. But that's, like, the nature of
freedom.
Technology and freedom. It's like magic. There's, like, black magic and white magic, or you could just see it as, like
you
there
either
are
have
forces and it depends on who's wielding it and, like, what their intentions
It's
are.
not even. It's just there's always a trade-off between being in a controlled system where, you know, Apple's made this. Apple's said to download this update or get this software, or your webcam can now do this thing if you update your Mac. You implicitly trust that Apple is going to give you an update and not riddle you with, like, crypto mining software and all sorts of shit, right?
Yeah.
On the internet, you have zero guarantee of that, and you're essentially running it off of, like, either a built-up reputation of someone, like a user on GitHub, or like something like that, reputation that you've got that someone's garnered online. But that is the dual nature of, like, you can be in a governmental system that's, like, giving like not letting you.
Regulated.
It's going to lock you up for fucking posting shit on Facebook and doing whatever, and try and feel really safe and coddled.
Yeah.
Or you can have the freedom, but with that comes like, you know, someone might call you the N word or like do something bad. You know. So
I'll take the N word.
but that's exactly it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like security and
versus freedom.
Yeah, security versus freedom, and
Yeah.
and like even down to the very nature of like technology. Yeah, this is fucking nuts, dude. He's Steve Carell now, and he's shining a light around like the AI generated face, and it's not it's like reflecting it like it's nothing wrong.
That's so frightening. Oh my God, is he but Billy Butcher from
Yeah.
the Boys?
Yeah.
That's insane.
How nuts is that? So yeah, that's crazy, and that's the worst it's ever going to be.
Yeah,
right.
It's gonna
So,
get much.
This is an open
much
source
more
project
fucking-
by
yeah.
like whoever the fuck. Like I'm pretty sure that like if this already exists in this way, like currently, that like probably Snapchat or something like that are like working on something that would do something in just as accurate a way. Maybe not like
Still really frightening
you know,
thinking about the really terrible ways that
dangerously.
it could be misused.
well, you can also
terrible ways that a lot of open source technologies can be misused, but at the same
you can
time,
also render videos offline with this as
Yeah.
well. So you could get a naked video of someone, and then you could render someone else's face on it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like, and this is all the ways that it's like gonna get misused and things like that.
Are these your plans, Jake?
My plans.
You're sweating as you say it. I'm joking.
My plans.
Oh my God. But no, I mean, even then, I think it frightens me to think about all the dark ways and the fucked up ways that it could be used to kind of cause havoc. But at the same time, being online in the chicken pen, the digital chicken pen, is dangerous too. Like they're threatening to lock people up for tweets now in this country.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Don't tweet such naughty things then. Maybe.
I mean, I think when was it? Last week or something? Keir Starmer was threatening to lock up Elon Musk, J.K. Rowling. I thought we didn't have space in our jails. They were just letting people out, like I said, just things like that. So it's like being in the digital chicken pen doesn't mean you're safe either. You're subject to all kinds of things, including.
Well, you're subject to someone else's terms.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, again, to echo what we were like learning in the Edward Snowden speech last week. You'll be safe in that built up, reputable ecosystem, but you'll be doing it on someone else's terms. And open source technology is a way for you to reclaim, the sovereignty within that. I say this as like a full Apple shithead.
You
right?
didn't used to be. This is
I
a
say this
new
is a
development.
full Apple shithead.
This is
but
a
I
new
understand
development.
philosophically the good things about open source technology. It's just they haven't figured out open source music production yet, bro. And you can't install fucking VSTs
Why
on
don't
a
you
Linux
be the
very
change
well.
that you want to see in the world, Jakey Bear?
No, I would. This is what I'm saying. I would love to, but they haven't figured out installing.
Why don't you figure it out?
plugins
Why don't
on,
you be the one? Why don't you figure it out?
I'm not that kind of technology guy. Do you know what I mean? I'm a more of a like using the technology kind of guy, not like a developing the technology kind of guy.
Why don't you change that?
doing
You've got all
coding
kinds of
gigabams
weird
and shit.
hobbies.
Yeah, I've got too many already. I can't be taking on more. I can't be learning how to code and shit.
I know. I'm interested in finding out about open source technology and supporting people who are doing interesting things. Because I'm not technical either. So yeah.
Absolutely, I think it's very cool.
Yeah.
But and it's something just to be on the radar. I think for if like things start getting a little bit hairier and whatever, but fuck, because like things are getting pretty tense everywhere in the world and stuff, and so it's good to kind of have like these things in the back of your mind, like, oh yeah, shit, I heard about this thing I could buy, and then I can like communicate with my mum, even though if she's like not in London or something.
But even then, that kind of brings us to our next topic. The technocracy accelerates. Fucking Peter Thiel was on Joe Rogan this week. Which I found pretty interesting. I was just like chilling, and then Jake was like, "Lol, look at this."
How many times did we pause in anger to
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
Yeah, we paused it quite frequently for me to yell at the top of my lungs. But yeah, part of the reason I was sort of peeved by it is because obviously, like we've talked about in prior episodes, Peter Thiel sort of at the helm of this like giant surveillance apparatus. And he also, you know, funds a lot of the dissident media. And Joe Rogan didn't really ask him about any of that at all. He just sort of like allowed him to wax lyrical about all this like fucking Malthusian nonsense and his like weird view / arc of history and all of his like libertarian fucking blah blah blah.
And
then he also was like trying to defend the idea that conspiracy theories don't exist.
They're like a thing of the past.
They're a thing of the past, of course, even though he's like pretty much at the helm of one currently. It was maddening, and it also made Joe Rogan lose a lot of. I already lost respect of him for him with the comedy special that he did.
But what
recently.
I don't get is that they had this big conversation about Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
And how Whitney Webb did all this great journalism around Jeffrey Epstein as he's having the conversation with fucking Peter Thiel.
Yeah. Who Whitney Webb
has literally spent the entire year doing great journalism on, like talking about all the glowy antics that he's up to and the contracts he has.
It was
with the
such
CIA.
gaslighting. It was like surreal. He was just there going on about how the JFK assassination and all this stuff, and how there may have been collusion in prior times of American history, but now that doesn't really happen anymore. And it's like, really, Mr. Palantir? Really, Mr. J.D. Vance? Really, Mr. Dissident Media Funder? Like, come on. And the fact that Joe didn't ask him any... I mean, if he's clued enough to have read Whitney Webb's journalism on the Epstein situation, he clearly isn't... he's clearly not clued in on her expose that she's done on Peter Thiel. So for him to sit in front of this guy and play footsie with him and talk to him about pyramids and fucking aliens and the Roman Empire and all this fucking bullshit made me really upset. And that's why we need to support open source technology, because these fucking people are the ones that are at the helm of all of the shit that's trying to put us in the digital chicken pen.
Well, it is pretty weird how, like, I don't know, he just was so like, oh yeah, there's no glowy operations anymore. That's all, like, you know, in the past. Whilst he is like the one like involved in so much stuff.
Yeah.
And it looks so obvious and blatant. And it's also kind of shit as well how Joe Rogan has kind of like turned into a genre of conversation.
Yeah.
And so now whenever anybody goes on to Joe's show, they all have the same fucking conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either like they've run out of thing that they want to try and sell or gas, and so they just sort of go, oh yeah, I liked what you said about the pyramids or Bigfoot or whatever
some
the
other
fuck.
Fucking,
and then like waffle on about the same talking points that he's like had with, you know, Cat Williams the week before, and all these other fucking shitheads that have the same fucking conversation over and over again.
Yeah, it's really like trite as his awful comedy special as well.
Oh mate, I think he's cooked as well. He's fully Rogan is cooked now. I feel like he's
because he waxes lyrical similarly about comedy constantly, but then whenever he has a stand up, it's like not funny.
I've never found any of his stand up specials funny.
Yeah, no.
Ever. I've never watched any comedy from him that has been good.
Yeah.
However, this last one was especially bad.
And he had a bad camera angle that made him look like a fucking...
He shot it
like
terribly.
Gimli.
Yeah, he shot it terribly. He made himself look like a dwarf when, like, he is arguably only a few inches above that, but you should be able to shoot... You're a fucking multi-millionaire. You should be able to shoot it in a way where, like, you don't look like a dwarf. You should have had someone discuss your wardrobe so you don't look like you're wearing a lady's blouse. You shouldn't have like reused jokes that you used from like your first special and then also from like another special from 2016 as well. Like there was a great video I saw of this guy completely reviewing it. 'Cause I didn't watch all of Joe's special because I just couldn't. Like I watched 10 minutes of it and was just like, I'm
same here.
not going to waste my time with this. This is
same here. I was
worse.
like making fun of the way he was moving around the stage, like a fucking
terrible.
Oompa Loompa.
This guy did a great breakdown of it and then pointed out all these things, and because he's someone that has like reviewed all of Rogan's specials, and it was just like, Jesus, man, this is the sloppiest shit ever.
I probably shouldn't make fun of him this brutally because I have a book to promote in the near future, but whatever, fuck him.
Oh well.
I've lost respect for him at this point. I don't want to go talk to him about pyramids on his shows. Like, fuck that shit.
I wonder who, if anyone, will be the first one to call out Joe.
I don't think anyone will, because he's so fucking powerful in that whole thing. I think that whole sort of quote unquote dissident media apparatus would have to collapse and implode in on itself before there would be any like
I
criticism.
think that all those comedian dudes are just as like Hollywood as the Hollywood they seem
pretend to be there against.
Yeah,
And yeah, they're
oh,
worse.
I hate that shit. Oh, I hate that
they're
shit.
fucking worse.
And
They're worse
all,
a lot
like,
of the time.
up each other's arse,
yeah.
even though like half of them are terrible.
Yeah, and not that great.
But
and they just got gassed because people were bored during COVID and were like watching their podcasts and shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's really fucked up, like, what happened to that whole comedy ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it intersects with the political ecosystem, Joe has done some really cool and interesting and subversive stuff with his show. But this Peter Thiel thing kind of undoes all of that, in my opinion, because
just this year
you have
in
the
general.
opportunity to actually talk about something real with somebody who's at the helm of something very adjacent to the things that you constantly talk about. And you didn't. You literally just played footsie with him, and I just don't see why you would. I'm not saying you have to be rude to him. I wouldn't be rude to him. I would talk to him if I had the opportunity to.
You don't have
I
to
would ask
be,
him the right questions. I wouldn't be combative.
You don't have to be like that black lady that interviewed Trump. You don't have to come at it. Don't have to come at it with that energy.
I wouldn't. I would talk to him like a human being, and it's not him that I dislike. I don't know him. In fact, let me even give him his flowers. He's a very fascinating person, very intellectual, incredibly well-versed in history. He has a very interesting worldview, even though I disagree with it vehemently. I would love to have a conversation with him, but I would fucking ask him the right questions, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be really based if, like, Tim Dillon was just like, let's be honest. That was shit. Like, that was terrible. But then he's also like, I haven't really seen any stand-up of him that's really knocked me away either.
Yeah.
When I thought I would, I thought Tim...
His podcast is great, though.
I thought
love
Tim would
Dillon's
be
shit.
like a killer stand-up because of how much he makes me laugh as almost basically doing kind of a version of stand-up in his own podcast, because it is literally just him ranting at a camera.
Is it live? He's just doing it on the fly, right?
He's doing it on the fly, and it's edited with the adverts and stuff.
Okay.
But like it's what I mean by that is that it's just him shouting, and it is just filmed, whereas it's not in front of a live crowd.
He should just do that in front of a live crowd instead of trying to write a set and do the
I don't know. It doesn't really. Doesn't really seem to translate for me in like an actual stand-up way.
Yeah, same here. I don't find it funny in that way, but I don't know. It's just sort of a feature of internet culture and the sort of narcissism it breeds, and a lot of people who, you know, make it off the back of internet culture like to think that they're different from the establishment media, whether it be you know, journalism or Hollywood or entertainment. They think they're different, but they're just as it's just as bad, even worse. Because a lot of people, like even the Mr. Beast situation that's currently unfolding is a major example of that. How these conventions kind of repeat themselves, and not just that, they're kind of exacerbated by the digital environment in a way.
Well, I think it was always kind of destined to happen in some fashion, right?
Yeah.
Because like we had this real, I don't know, maybe either understanding or just like protectiveness over the sorts of information that children had access to. Like when I was a kid, shows that were inappropriate wouldn't be on until like past 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or something, when kids were expected to be in bed or whatever, right? And the amount of attention that was paid to the sorts of things that would be available on technology communication services that children would have access to was so highly like monitored. And yeah, sure, the BBC slipped up, Jimmy Savile, blah blah blah, but like they did a lot of things also to make those shows very like focused,
child friendly
and child friendly, right? In all the other 99% of examples that didn't have like bad things happen like that. Whereas now you have anybody can make a YouTube channel.
Anybody can
And
appeal
so
to children. Yeah.
Anybody now has the access to, exactly that. Make stuff that your kid can watch.
Yeah.
And whilst
Monetize your child's attention span, basically.
And whilst that was like...
That was the domain of toy companies and mega corporations during the era of television. But now some fucking weird dude on the internet can do that. And that's quite frightening. And the thing is, people think that it's somewhat more it's more egalitarian and less hostile because it's not like quote unquote establishment. But it is establishment. It's the new version of the establishment. And a lot of people who are posing as dissidents currently are just that, basically. And it's sad. It's fucking sad. Which is why I think open source is kind of the wave of the future in terms of freedom. I think what these dissidents are trying to do, they're trying to sell you the idea that the platforms owned by tech billionaires is freedom, and that their specific things that they monetarily benefit from is freedom. And they're continuously selling people this idea, and people are buying it, but I think eventually it will all implode and people are going to be more interested in like finding the truth and things that are real outside of it. And that I think that things like the Mr. Beast scandal and stuff are accelerating it, because the amount of access he has to the minds of kids is absurd. He's just a random fucking guy on the internet.
Well, same with like Miss Rachel and stuff, right?
yeah.
Like, everyone thought that was like cool, and
that for those of you who don't know who Miss Rachel is, she's like it's like a YouTube show for babies.
But wasn't she actually like a child psychologist or something as well?
She has a child who has like a developmental issue, and she kind of learned a lot of child psychology to sort of help her baby. So
but she's not actually like a degree in.
No,
like
I don't think so. I don't think so. But she sort of had a really wholesome story around it and stuff, and she was like beloved by moms and babies alike. But then all of a sudden she decides that she's like going to start announcing that she wants to bring Dylan Mulvaney on her show. And it's like, why? It's for fucking babies. And again, it just sort of reminds you that these are random people who are entertaining your kids. And some of them may even have connections to other agendas that they're supposed to market, all of these different things. And just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's not sort of free of that incentive structure of the establishment media and the people who traditionally controlled the establishment media, i.e. billionaires, corporate interests, XYZ. So,
Is there any cool open source music related tech out there? That's what I was saying, man. Unfortunately, like Linux is kind of seen as the open source operating software.
What about Teenage Engineering?
That's a company. It's a German company.
Oh, never.
Yeah, that's
well, they
what
look
I mean.
kind of like, they look like you could reverse engineer that, and you could probably make your own little synthesizer.
Oh yeah, so I mean, for sure, if you're that way inclined, where you know a bit about electronics and a bit about programming and a bit about like putting together like casing and buttons and peripherals and all of that kind of stuff, you can totally make your own open source synthesizer or sampler or whatever you want to do. But it's not like there are exact clear instructions for the exact thing that you are probably looking to do. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like it's taking a much more kind of guerrilla approach to all sorts of stuff. And I kind of went down that rabbit hole pretty recently, to be honest, because I was looking at making a MIDI controller specifically for the sort of thing that I'm doing with my jungle stuff, and to kind of partner with my push. And then I, after an evening of YouTube videos, I was just like, you know what? I just spend the 70 quid and get a MIDI guy from Akai, because it's gonna save me a lot of time, and I can get on with my music and like not be building
to convenience.
No, because there was also like this classic like stupid music nerd, music production nerd joke about I was too busy herding goats basically to make music, because it was like, oh, I really wanted this drum sound, and but I had samples, but I felt like that was cheating. So then I recorded this drum kit, but then I realized it's a Ludwig kit, and it sounds like every other Ludwig kit. So I wanted to make my own drum kit, and so I learned how to make my own drum kit. But now I haven't made any music because I'm busy like farming goats for the skins for my drum kit. So it's sort of like you end up kind of going down that rabbit hole a little bit, and it kind of ends up being like, what is the hobby for you? Is it like making music, or is it like making cool things to potentially make music? Because that's going to consume so much time that like I would be surprised if you are also super productive in the other area of that at the same time.
Like what I mean is that we have a lot of newer technologies available to us now that sort of streamline the process of reverse engineering certain things, and that doesn't work for everything. Like music hardware is not like, that's still fairly complicated. But doing interesting things with plugins, for instance.
You can, but again, it's sort of the time you'll spend on like making whatever plugin you're making is going to be all that time you've not spent on producing music.
True.
And so and think about it as just like a shortcut, basically. Like, oh yeah, now instead of me figuring out how I make my own phaser, I can pay Soundtoys this money and use this phaser, because now it's going to save me a month at least of figuring out how to actually like rig together a fucking phaser. If you have like Max for Live or something like that, you can do a lot of interesting stuff with that. But again, it's just like all like, why would I spend that time doing that when I can just bring in the stock Ableton one or like?
Well,
whatever,
what would
right?
you reverse? What would you recommend reverse engineering? That's something that's accessible for everybody.
Something that's accessible for everybody that you can reverse engineer.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I have to think about that. That might be our homework for next week.
Yeah, I mean, well, even just like building your own computer or something is kind of like a great place to start.
Says the Apple guy.
Well, okay, yeah, but I have built computers in the past and repaired them and done all sorts of things. So like, it's not like I don't know how to build a computer.
All right. Okay. Oh my gosh, the shade.
It's just that I've gone with a more sleek solution for my own music stuff.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Even with the gig we played the other day, how fucking
You're getting so mad.
The gig we played the other day.
Yeah.
All those fucking other people had tables of pedals and all of this crazy stuff. What did I have?
You're pushing your laptop.
Open Ableton, plug it into the push.
But I feel like electronic musicians.
Governor.
I feel like electronic musicians are really snobby about that sort of thing. Like the more gear you have, the more serious you look. And if you show up with a Mac and a push, I feel like you get a little bit snobbed because people are like, we did a good show.
Yeah,
you did a great
show. They want.
Did a great
Does
show.
it seem like anyone snobbed me, or they were like, "Oh mate, that sounded fucking amazing"?
Yeah, no.
So you're just like, "Yeah, great. There we go. Bang, easy game.
Oh my god. Yeah, we played our first show together this weekend. It was very fun. I was a bit nervous though. I need to work on my stage presence and like not singing with my eyes closed as much, because I sing with my eyes closed when I'm nervous.
You're adorable.
And I've done this since I was in school.
You did a good job.
You're sweet.
You did a good job,
You're
baby.
Sweet.
Okay.
You're sweet.
And we're going to do even better
We have
job.
to practice more.
We will.
And
we'll have more songs as well and
yeah,
stuff.
we're working on more material at the moment, which is fun.
Oh, it's too hot. I think that's it now.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. It's so hot in our apartment. But yeah, if you haven't already, please go and check out my video on Depth Diaries. It's a new video. If you're not sick of me and you want more of me, check out my video on Depth Diaries. And if you haven't already, join us on Discord, because we have a great little community in there. And if you want access to that, you can join us on Patreon. I'm going to be starting Movie Club up again very soon, the week after next. And then in the fall, we're going to be starting Book Club up again. It's summer now, so everyone's touching grass, so no book club. But once it starts getting cozy again, we're gonna start book clubbing it. So if you want access to that, join Patreon. And also, if you would like a tarot reading from yours truly, you can also find that on Patreon too.